depending on the cash flow of the business and the size of the acquisition, we look for minimum 10% of the acquisition price in an account, plus, depending on the type of business, up to 8% of what's called post-closing liquidity. I think I covered that in the presentation. So we're really, at the end of the day, looking for 10% for the injection, and then subtracting that 10% out, we look for another 8% of the loan amount. So 8% of 900,000 is $72,000. So we look for 100 grand for the injection, and then $72,000 sitting in your account that is just a reserve, what's called post-closing liquidity. That's what we'd look for.
And that number, just to clarify, is kind of the it's your nest egg, right? Like in the event that anything were to go wrong, that's giving the bank or the lender faith that you could kind of coast on that little nest egg for a while you figured it out.
Yeah, it's like a reserve. So, and that question comes up a lot, and that's a really good question. I'm glad it got brought up, but all lenders require post-closing liquidity, like a rainy day fund, what if, the world comes type of fund.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have 100 grand, you're trying to buy $1 million business, that's not going to work. You're going to need that post-closing liquidity. And what counts as post-closing liquidity? It has to be liquid money, meaning an investment account that you have access to. It can't be like restricted stock or anything of that nature. It needs to be liquid. The availability needs to be there. Some people say, well, I have I have stock, but they're restricted. Is that considered as liquid? No, because you can't touch that stock. So that's something we would look for. And actually, during the pre-qualification process, that's one thing we look at on your personal financial statement to gauge how much at the end of the day you can qualify for.
So you heard him say, like, it will be up to that percentage. That depends on the type of industry and the capital, like how capital heavy it is to operate it. So like a company with high inventory, or a company with like manufacturing, right, might need a lot of money being put into it, will have a higher post-close liquidity.
Or even a service business.
Or service business, yeah.
Yeah. So for example, in a service business, maybe usually 5%, we like to see 5% reserve, not necessarily 8 or maybe even 4. But when it deals with inventory, or something really, either inventory heavy or cash outlay heavy, maybe a business that has really high accounts receivable, where, you're having that expenditure up front, but have to wait 90 days for payment or 60 days for payment, we're going to require closer to the 8%.